back to another episode of the Sistah Talk. I am your sister, Miss Beatty, and y'all already know that's with a Z.
What is he?
And this is my sister,
Gold Chain Diva.
and we're just
Two sisters with a lot to talk about. And we always have a lot to talk about.
We really do. We really do. So, what's been going on with sis?
Well, you know, obviously our viewers can see that we're in a different scenery.
Absolutely.
You know, we're finally on our vacation.
Vacation.
We left our jobs to get somebody else to do it.
Please get somebody
And
else
we're just
to do it.
enjoying this Charlotte. Just everything about Charlotte. Everything about
Listen,
Charlotte.
the best thing to say is the culture, because that's one of the biggest things that I noticed down here is the freaking culture.
Yeah.
Everybody is nice. Everybody is smiling.
Hospitable, that southern hospitality.
Yes, everybody is willing to help. Everybody is just like, you know, just amazing. It's really, really cool.
And everywhere is a vibe.
Yes, literally.
Like, you don't have to look for the vibe. The
No.
vibe won't find you.
Absolutely.
No matter where you're at. The only bummer is, you know, we thought we was going to be chilling poolside, but, you know, our Airbnb, they didn't tell us that they didn't clean the pool out. So, you know, we making do what we got.
I am writing a bad review. I am writing a bad review. I am. Because I'm very upset. That is the reason why we chose to come here. Is to get pool time. I wanted to get a tan.
Me too.
I'm trying to be crisp, brown, okay?
And I'm just trying to be golden. I ain't trying to be crisp. Just a little gold.
Yes, yes. So, other than that, I'm just really, I'm trying to soak it all in, because I know once we get back to reality,
It's going to be the hustle and
it's
bustle.
going to be the hustle and bustle again.
And we're going to have to tell y'all,
same shit, different
day.
day.
That's the only response we're going to have
Yeah,
for y'all.
same shit, different day. But as of right now, we're just enjoying ourselves.
Absolutely.
So.
And we will tell you more about that later in the episode, because we got a treat for y'all at the end.
We really do. really, really do.
So it's time to spill the tea. So what do you got on this week's Spill the Tea, sis? What we talking about?
So I kind of want to, you know, sometimes I feel like I always talk about the heavier stuff, but Canada is on fire. I mean, like, and I know that sounds funny, but
it's really not funny.
It's
at
not
all.
funny, but it really, like, it's really on fire. Like,
yeah.
What did they say, like 230, and don't quote me, 230 forest fires, and like some are contained and like some are not, like, and I feel like it's more like maybe 430 and 230 of them are contained. Like, that's ridiculous. It's crazy. We are seeing we got to experience it before we left for our trip, you know, how it's
affecting everyday
everything.
life, because you never would think, like, I mean, yeah, we know that the United States is very close to Canada.
Absolutely.
But you never would think, like, if something happened in Canada, that you would be able to see the effects of it in our country.
Very true.
And so it definitely was wild going outside, you know, seeing the smog.
Yes,
and
smelling it.
yeah, because it definitely had a smell.
You know, and, you know, prayers for, you know, the people in New York, because
They
it was
had
looking like
way worse.
doomsday.
Yeah. Or did you see the meme where they had Godzilla in the background?
As Americans, do we ever take anything
Nothing.
serious?
We don't take nothing serious.
We don't.
We're going to be zombies running down the street, and we still ain't going to take it seriously. We're like, look at his slow ass.
Listen, exactly. Like,
limping.
exactly. But, no, seriously, you know, it's crazy, because we were kind of talking about, like, how much, and I was going to say our culture, and that's not the right word, how much our society has had to go through, especially our era, with us being
our
in
generation.
our generation.
We've seen a lot. I mean,
yes.
we lived through 9/11.
Yes.
You know, we lived through, I don't know, what other tragedies growing up?
Oh, I mean, 9/11, you got, and I'm kind of skipping around, you got COVID, you got the swine flu that, you know, we went through in our high school year. I'm trying to think if there's anything else.
Yeah, I mean, COVID is definitely the most notable, because I don't think any of us expected that we would ever live through something like that. And so this fires is going on in Canada.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is kind of a wake up call, and it really does make you feel like we living in times, like the old people say.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, like, you know, I've been watching Manifest. Shout out to the Manifest fans.
Yeah.
But I've been watching Manifest, and some of the things that are going on with the plagues and different stuff that's in that, it really makes you look and be like, whoa, like, it may not be happening like that, but something, pretty much something
is going on.
Is going on.
Absolutely, absolutely. And, You know, I always try to I always try to tie in, you know, the people that have anxiety, especially because we both, you know, deal with it in different ways, but this is also something that is very anxiety driven. I know, you know, before we left, and for me to be completely transparent with you guys, I was very like scared, like seeing all of this and watching it on social media with the fires, and actually being able to look outside and be like, oh man, like you see the smog, you smell it. Like I was scared. I'm like, shoot, let me pack my inhaler. Mind you, I'm not even an asthmatic. But
well, I'm not even gonna lie. I was wondering.
No,
wait, take your ass.
Listen, and that I'm not an asthmatic, but I had it from when I was sick.
Okay.
And I couldn't breathe well. So albuterol does the same thing for anybody. So I said, I'm carrying that joint. You never know. Like I was really like overthinking and overanalyzing the situation.
Well, I think it's something that we've never experienced before, so we didn't know how serious it was.
Exactly.
Especially when they say cold red.
Yes.
But thinking like, when I looked at the spectrum, cold red was more so kind of like towards the middle, towards the lower end of things. I can only imagine if we were in cold red, that New York was probably way further up on the spectrum.
Oh, absolutely.
Because you probably couldn't see your hand in front of your face if that was the case.
Yeah, there's no way. You couldn't even see the city line.
Yeah.
And that's crazy. That's very defined. So with that being said, everybody stay safe out there. Wear a mask if you
especially
need to.
if you're in the New York area.
Yes. If you're in the New York area, just stay safe, and let's hope that the fires clear up. Please. I don't want no more smog and smoke, and I don't want to do that. So get somebody else to do it. Clear them fires up, please.
Like as best as y'all can.
As best.
Well, for my spill the tea topic for this week.
Okay.
You know, we're all of the same generation. Most of the people who watch this podcast are around the same age. So we all grew up watching Sister Act 2.
Yes.
And we know about Oh Happy Day.
Oh happy day.
Oh happy day.
Oh happy day. All right. So listen, we'll start singing for y'all. Y'all already know.
No,
listen.
I'm sorry. But listen, it takes you to church every single time that you watch that movie and you hear that song. But I brought that up to say that, you know, we all watched that movie. We know that that movie had Lauryn Hill in it. We also know that it had a person who at the time probably wasn't as famous.
Right.
But, you know, later on went to form a group called City High.
Yes.
And so his name on the movie was Ahmad. But in real life, his name is Brian Toby.
Which, change your name, please. But anyway, we're going to get back to that. Go ahead. Finish
Like, you probably can keep Toby.
Toby, but like.
Ryan?
Yeah, like.
I would have might see an Eric.
Yeah, or like, I don't know. Just
Mitchell.
Mitchell, yeah, not like Ryan. Like, come on. Like, that's just a little, that throws me off a little bit. But anyway.
Because it's two first names. Anybody with two first names throw you off.
Listen.
I don't trust them. But no, so Ryan Toby, you know, like we said, he went on to form a group with, oh my God, Claudia Ortiz and the other member of that group called City High. We all know, what would you do if your son was at home?
Crying all alone on the bedroom.
Listen, and they came out with several other hits. Now, apparently, you know, what I didn't know when I did my research was that that group was actually signed by Wyclef.
Didn't know that.
I didn't know that either. I can totally see it.
Yeah, because their swag about them.
Their vibe is like, it's very eclectic.
Yes. I like that.
But yes, they were signed by Wyclef. But you know, I think that growing up, we heard a lot of their music. Of course, that song that we were just saying, "What Would You Do?" That's still a banger to this day. But then we looked up and we were like, "Well, where the heck did City High go?" Because they stopped putting out music. Well, recently, Mr. Brian Toby is back in the headlines because, you know, different people are doing different podcasts now, and a lot of things, I guess, aren't as secretive as it used to be in the music industry.
Right.
So he's done interviews with, you know, a few people basically talking about his contribution to Usher's Confession album.
Okay.
And I thought it was so crazy, and we needed to talk about it as far as spilling the tea because there was a whole Usher challenge for number one, the song number one on the Confessions album, where like the whole Usher riff.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna stop because I can't get that other part. But
but yes, y'all know it. Y'all heard it. Y'all probably did it because I did it in the group chat with my cousins and made everybody sing it. It was just a fun thing to do. But the crazy part about that is apparently Ryan Toby was the reason why we have that amazing song. Apparently, he is credited as a writer. Basically, you know, the demo was cut because he can obviously sing as well.
Right.
And literally, they didn't want to change anything about it. The way he sung it is the exact same way that Usher sung it.
So, I just feel like, listen, great song, amazing song. But it's like, I wonder how he feels knowing that they're like, hey, literally copy. Like Usher, copy how he just sang that, and you sang that, and it did wonders. Like, does he get paid for?
I'm pretty
Obviously,
sure.
writing he gets paid for,
I'm
but
pretty
like,
sure. Now, I mean, it could have been like the music industry works in so many different ways. It could have been he got paid one time, or he could probably be getting residuals somehow.
Right.
Who knows? It just depends on how he worked that deal out.
Right. I mean, that's big. You're writing for Usher.
Yeah, but you know what though? I think that it's foreign to us because we're not in the music industry.
True.
However, that's something that happens often because we got.
Let's talk about Neo. I'm sorry.
Well, I was about to.
Like,
listen, you took it right out of my brain.
Listen, let's talk about Neo because he is huge and very known for doing that. And I'm trying to think of.
Well, I was about to say with Mario.
Also, and quote me if I'm wrong, you might know better than me. Beyonce.
Yeah.
He wrote Neo wrote a lot of songs for Beyonce. I mean, to the left.
Right. That's the most memorable.
The most memorable song.
But I think it's also good to know because we brushed over Mario.
Yes, we did.
But apparently he wrote Mario's, I want to say it was Let Me Love, no, I want to say it was Best,
Tell me I'm just a friend.
There we go.
What is the name of that song?
Just a Friend,
Just a Friend, oh Lord.
Yeah, so I want to say it was that song that he wrote, Just a Friend.
Okay.
And that went on to be one of Mario's biggest songs.
Yeah.
And apparently he just did an interview with the R&B Money podcast, and he was talking about how Jay-Z actually was like, why would you give that song away? Why would you keep that for yourself?
Right.
Because that song, even to this day, is still a bop.
It really is. It really is. But, I mean, he gets royalties off of it. He has to because he wrote it. So, I mean, hey, I don't know. You look at the spectrum. You're like, write it, sing it. You know, you still get some type of
gratification from it. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, yeah, Ryan Toby wrote for Usher.
You sure did.
Ryan, the next time, keep your writings for yourself.
For yourself, sir.
Okay.
Cause you can sing.
Definitely can. Listen.
Can hit them notes.
When Jesus, like, you know what I mean? Like, come on.
Right? Yeah. One of the best to do it.
Definitely.
But, well, just that quick. It's time for Conspiracy Talk. Conspiracy.
All right.
So, first things first on this Conspiracy Talk is about Azalea Banks. A lot of people don't know who Azalea Banks is.
I had to look her up.
She's kind of sort of irrelevant.
Kind of, sort of.
But let me before she put a hex on me.
Listen.
Don't
play now.
But no, like I don't think I've ever heard a Azalea Banks song, but I'm pretty sure she's a musician. I don't know if she sings, raps, or both, but she's a musician. A lot of people may know Azalea Banks because of her appearance on Wild 'N Out.
Okay.
Maybe 2016, 2017, like kind of some years back now.
Okay.
And she went on there and she basically like looking back on it. Like, because they obviously be roasting each other on that show.
Yeah.
But I feel like they definitely was bullying that girl.
They was bullying her a little bit?
I feel like. So, nonetheless, DC Young Fly, but he always calls somebody ugly.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure he calls himself ugly.
Yeah.
So
he had made a few statements about her on that episode, and she took it a bad type of way. Well, apparently 2023, fast forward, she's still in her bag. So as we know, DC Young Fly, I'm gonna say his fiance because I'm sure if she wasn't, she earned that.
Yeah,
at the very least.
Absolutely.
His fiance, she passed away on the surgical table from having like a cardiac arrest from trying to do a mommy makeover.
Yes.
And so Azalea Banks come into this because she basically just has no remorse for the situation. Like she's still holding on to that grudge. As far as like, the episode or whatever, she's holding on to that grudge. And now apparently she's made some nasty posts online, kind of, you know, still bringing up the fact that she's, you know, still angry about it or whatever.
Right.
And that she's salty. And so I'm gonna read the, you know, the post that she apparently posted, and then I'll let y'all make sense of it.
Okay.
So basically she said, DC Young Fly spent years disguising his own deeply rooted hatred of self as jokes pointed at women's beauty, projecting his own feelings about his own ugliness onto women, perfectly secure in their own skin. What you want, say what you want about my tears. They were pure tears of rage and not at all a sign of weakness, because in the end, I won. I am happy I cried and moved on. That Jackie old girl, talking about his fiance, must have been so deeply insecure about herself, and the nerve of DC to call such a gorgeous woman as Azalea Banks ugly on national television. But basically, and I'm pretty sure there were other like statuses and tweets that she had posted as well, but it alluded to the fact that she did some type of witchcraft and put some roots on that girl.
And this is the thing. First of all, bullying is not okay in any way, shape, or form. You know, a lot of people, you know, commit suicide because of it. You know, so I understand why she might have been embarrassed because it was on national TV. I get it. But at the same time, I feel like you're going on Wilding Out. It is an improv show.
They talk about each other. They talk about Nick every episode.
About Mariah and how his relationship didn't work, and he can't rap, and all the kids like that. They talk about all of that, and you don't see him.
He ain't fired none of them.
Exactly. And I feel upset for Azalea. Is that her name? I feel upset towards her, not for her. I feel upset towards her because you could have waited to make that type of statement.
Like that was fresh.
Like that was fresh.
Like within days, not even a whole week of something happening to this lady.
And honestly, to be totally honest, the cops have every right. I don't even know if they can do anything about witchcraft, but they have every right to be like, honey, what's going on? What did you do?
Right.
Because, listen.
Nope. Because there's no way that they can go after somebody for witchcraft because there would be no evidence. Like, there would be, like, I don't know. I've never, honestly, I would be curious to ask a lawyer that question.
Yeah.
Like, if witchcraft ever played a part in the case, like, how would they proceed with that? Like, does that have any type of bearing?
See, and I don't want to, because, you know, we can go from one thing to another, but I just want to say this real quick. Well, you know, with a lot of the exorcisms that have happened and people being taken over by the devil and stuff like that, you know, they have been able to use that stuff in court, but I only seen it in the movie. I don't know how true it is, so I can't say it's valid. It's credible, but I feel like it should be able to hold up in court. But that's neither here nor there.
Conspiracy,
or not. You always got the good ones.
Yeah, listen.
You always got the good ones.
You know, I always got them.
Yeah, listen, that's your thing.
I love me a conspiracy.
That was good.
But you know, we gotta update the people on Mr. Jamie Foxx.
Oh.
We gotta update him because we talked about Mr. Jamie Foxx and his hospitalization and, you know, the fact that we thought he was getting cloned and all these other things. So, what we gotta say about Mr. Jamie this week?
First of all, Mr. Jamie was blabbing a little bit too much.
Apparently. Allegedly.
Yeah, listen. Allegedly. He was blabbing too much. He's name dropping. He's telling story. He's having his own story time. You know, to I don't know who he was exactly talking to, but when you're in that type of, when you have that type of spotlight on you, you have to be careful of what you're saying.
Well,
or doing.
That part. But when you on that level, you should already know. Either you know and don't know.
Yep.
Or you just don't know.
Exactly.
Because if you put yourself in an environment to know everything, you're going to slip up and want to tell somebody. Something. And he was spilling and I can only imagine the things that Mr. Jamie Foxx saw.
Listen, he was talking about them Diddy parties. Them tooting and booting and creaming and screaming parties.
The Diddy flavor camp.
The flavor camp.
Yeah. I mean, listen, we talked about Diddy Flavor Camp last episode.
Yes, we did.
And it's so funny because we mentioned, you know, Usher.
Yep.
We didn't really mention Justin Bieber, but he had custody of Justin Bieber for like 2 days. I guess his parents was like, nah, Nizzy, we ain't letting you have our son for a year. But you can have him for like 2 days, though.
Diddy
Yeah, had custody.
custody?
But like, so he technically had custody of Usher. I don't think that he had temporary guardianship of Justin Bieber for like 2 days. Yes.
Bruh, okay. What?
Yep. Yes, his parents gave Diddy guardianship for 48 hours apparently. So I'm just wondering, like, what in the hell? Because this flavor camp is official apparently.
The thing is it relevant now or was relevant back in the day?
That's what you mean?
Like flavor camp. Like, does he still have this flavor camp? Is he
I
grooming
mean,
these young
I
men
can't
to right
imagine
now?
that it ever disbanded.
What is the difference? And we ain't gonna go off topic because you know we like to.
Mm-hmm.
What is the difference between him and Pied Piper?
I mean, that's why he's in the hot seat these days. Is because people are trying to hold him accountable. But my guess is the difference is his roots go a lot deeper and darker.
Back to Clyde Davis and
Yep.
him being boyfriend and girlfriend.
Yep. And then we gotta mention YK Osiris in the mix because that's the new modern day flavor boy. Apparently, allegedly.
Listen, let me say this though. As soon as YK Serious, listen, because I'm always messing up somebody's names, and that's what I'm calling them.
No,
Okay?
YK Serious.
His I can give you the world, baby girl. Listen, when he came out with that, I was like, this is some real female stuff. Like, a man is singing this. A young boy. Man, young boy. I wasn't a fan of that song.
I like that song.
He's whining.
I like that song, and I feel like that's what R&B is missing, the whine.
The whining of it?
Because I don't think that men cherish the girls anymore, the girlies.
Listen.
I want somebody to sing to me and say, "I'll give you the world, baby girl, because you worth it.
That's
you
that
ain't
flavor
gotta
camp.
be perfect."
That's that flavor camp. That's that flavor camp.
Hey, that's exactly what it is. I agree.
Conspiracy or not?
Listen, well, we ain't really go into the conspiracy. The conspiracy is...
Oh, shit.
We really did. We got stuff on Diddy because it's not even about Diddy. It's about Jamie Foxx.
Jamie Foxx. See, I was real.
It's about Jamie Foxx.
It's about Jamie Foxx.
Listen, well, allegedly, Jamie Foxx is in the position that he's in because he was talking too much about Diddy.
Yes, that's what it was.
And so they basically saying, it's a lot of theories going around. That theory... Plus the fact that, we heard that there's some type of litigation or something going on, and apparently he faked this whole sickness,
his sickness, yeah.
so that he didn't have to get on the stand and be, testify, whatever the case may be.
Listen, that commercial that you showed me was
weird. That's the update. So the update, because we did say we were going to touch on himself.
Yes.
So allegedly, they're saying it's just so much. You don't know what to take in because they're saying that. It's a possibility, and the same thing with Damar Hamlin. It's a possibility because they were forcing him to get this, what they call it on TikTok, C19.
Oh yes, I remember that episode that we talked about.
You're right,
yes,
the C19.
Yes.
Yes.
Vaccine.
There we go. And so rumors report that he may have gotten that vaccine, and that vaccine was the cause of him getting sick or whatever, causing like a brain, blood clots or whatever the case may be. And apparently, allegedly, there's a report saying that he's half blind, half paralyzed. But then now we get this video of him sitting in a doctor's like an emergency room type of room, hooked up to an IV that's hooked up to what we can assume is a bottle of alcohol, and he's talking about he needs to address the people and take care of his health, and the whole thing is just weird. Yeah,
it was very, very odd. It was one of them commercials where you're just like, after it's done, you're like,
what was that about?
What was that about? What was the point of that commercial? But
well, I ain't gonna lie to you, I wasn't 100% sure that he has a clone until I saw that commercial. I feel like they cloned him. Because my thing is like, comedian or not, how do you come back from a life or death experience and then just make so much light about it?
Right. Why even make light about it? You were about to lose your life.
Yeah. And that goes back to, and I'm not even sure I expressed this on the podcast, but I think you and I might have had a conversation about it, is how I feel like the industry, and we did have a conversation about this, how the industry, I feel, is basically killing off people or having traumatic experiences with these people, and they're using that as a tactic to get more money. Because you got to think about it. Every time a rapper dies, we go back and listen to their whole catalog. And that runs up the streams.
And to add on to what you're saying, insurance policies on these singers, actors, anybody, they have insurance policies on them. When somebody dies, they get that money. Who's ever in control of that? So let's be honest, they're probably killing them all for that reason, as well as wanting to get that money.
Right.
Either way, it's a win-win.
I just feel like it got to be some insurance fraud somewhere in there, because like I think at this point it goes deeper to them actually killing these people. I don't think that we actually killing these people no more. Like I told you, and maybe when we talked about it the first time, I watched the show Dave with Lil Dicky.
I don't think I've seen that.
Well, listen, it's a guilty pleasure of mine.
Okay.
I'm not going to tell anybody to watch that show because y'all might judge me real heavy, because I very much enjoy that show. It's crazy, trippy, white boy humor as it is.
Yeah.
That crap cracks me up.
Okay.
But I said that to say, on an episode of that show, he was on a tour and the bus broke down. Something happened where I guess like the bus kind of like exploded, like had a major explosion, and it left all the stuff that was on the bus on the the ground. They were out in like a desert area.
Okay.
Well, one of the things on the show, you only understand if you watch the show, he has a sex doll.
Okay.
And so the sex doll was up under some like debris or whatever that came from the bus, and like they left the bus. And they walked to like the nearest place to get a phone call or whatever the case may be. And these people came along and they saw the tour bus. Obviously the tour bus says Lil Dicky or whatever. And so they saw the feet of the sex doll hanging out and assumed that Lil Dicky had died.
Oh, shoot.
And so when he got word of it, that was what was trending on Twitter, people were saying rest in peace Lil Dicky, whatever. He chose to let them believe that he was still dead for a period of time to boost up his sales and all this other stuff. And he came up with a nice marketing tactic and this, that, and the third. So that's what makes me think, like, come on now, nothing that they put in these TV shows are by coincidence.
Listen, they probably got all the people on this little island.
Yeah.
On this
orgies. But seriously, they're nasty. I don't care. Listen, I can only imagine if they got all these people on the island somewhere, what's going on. I can only imagine. I don't even want to imagine, actually.
Listen, now that got me thinking. Oh, Lord.
Oh,
Lord.
Is it a conspiracy?
Or not. Lord Jesus. So, next is cancel culture. And we got a little...
Yeah. Little surprise.
A little surprise for y'all.
One of the highlights of our trip. We chose to uncancel this person.
Yes.
Because we actually got an opportunity to meet this person.
And
be in his presence and his vibe.
Absolutely.
It was a nice time.
It was a nice time. We are going to uncancel. And we don't even know if he's been canceled, but I feel like he hasn't really been relevant, to be totally honest.
Outside of being a part of BMF.
Yes. Oh, yes.
But a lot of people, as I know now, some people only know him from BMF.
Absolutely.
And it blew my mind.
Yeah.
Because the girl, listen, I'm just, story time.
Yeah. Yes.
But the girl at the bar, she was letting us go to the bathroom. And then, like, she let one of us go. And then the other person, like me, myself, I could not go because she was like, oh, the person that's here, like, the guy that's coming tonight, he's almost here now. He's about to come. I can't let you back there now. And so I was like, oh, well, who's coming? She was like, oh, somebody from BMF, the one right there in the blue. And I turned around and I said, who, Lil Zane?
Lil Zane? That's how you gotta say it.
Yeah. Literally, the man walked right past me and I'm looking like, oh, okay, Lil Zane.
Listen.
But yeah, we're going to cancel Lil Zane. And the reason why we're going to cancel him just because we had a good time. It was nostalgic.
It was very nostalgic. He performed one of the songs from Hardball. I can't strike one.
Strike one,
Yeah.
caught you by surprise.
Yeah.
Strike two, right before your eyes. Strike three, oh I got you out. From the soundtrack of
Yes,
Hardball.
from the soundtrack of Hardball. So everybody our age should remember that.
First of all, that makes me feel very, very old.
Listen, it showed our ages.
Very much.
It showed our ages. And
way more than I like the way your body feels.
And that's 112.
Yes.
That's 112.
So that's great, right?
And he performed that too, and I mean everybody was in that.
Singing to the top of their lungs.
So, listen, we were.
Because why not?
Yes, that is a throwback. That is a very, very wonderful.
Because we can do it in the Black 500 with the top down.
And listen, he was rapping a little bit of it.
He was.
Not to mention.
But I'm going to just say this though. A lot of the older rappers that haven't had hits in a while, they don't be remembering them damn words.
No.
I can tell you that he didn't remember the words. He was probably like, oh shoot, they remember the words?
Yeah, listen.
Heck yeah,
that's why he was smiling so hard, because he was singing along.
Because he was going to give him love. Come on, we going to turn up.
Absolutely.
I hate when people, like when you have people that perform and people are dry.
Yeah.
Whether you like the song, whether you know the song,
right,
give some type of energy. Like, don't just stand there and just like feel like I'm entitled to have this person perform in front of me. Like, at the end of the day, it takes a lot for a person to get up there. It takes a lot mentally to, you know, prepare yourself to be in that spotlight. You know what I mean? Like, it takes a lot. Yeah. So, like, when people just stand there and just look, that's so disrespectful to me.
It is disrespectful, and I'm glad that everybody in the club. And what was that club called?
1501 South Mint.
1501 South Mint.
Charlotte, North Carolina.
Shout out to y'all. That was a.
Listen, I've had a good time every time I've gone there.
And I'm glad that we chose to go there, because that was lit. I had a really, you know, not to get off topic, but I had a really, really good time. Like a really good time. But anyway, I was happy to see everybody was engaging with him, and everybody was like pulling the cameras out, like, because that's what I did. I mean, at the end of the day, he was in our time. Like, he was in our time, so that was exciting.
Listen, y'all know, Comic Sauce has always been for nostalgia. When I used to talk about B2K, when I used to talk about Ray J, when I used to talk about all these different people that everybody was like, well, why don't you talk about the new pop people? Did we not get a Millennium Tour?
Right.
Did it not sell out?
Right.
Did we not get a Versus with all these different people?
Right.
Like, it's just, we're growing up, and they want to cater to us because that's the stuff that we're interested in. So I don't see no problem with, you know, reminiscing, because I'm still going to listen to They Keep On Calling Me, Calling Me.
And I remember that song. I didn't remember until he started like rapping it.
I already told you. I play that song on my playlist at least once a month.
Right.
Once or twice a year. But it's still in the rotation enough to be relevant in my life.
Absolutely.
So I was happy to see Lil sing. So
I was too.
We're gonna uncancel him. You know? We're gonna give him his flowers, give him his props. You know, he showed up. He did what he was supposed to do. He was with the people. It was a good vibe.
And he definitely a good vibe. Had a wonderful time. So
well, we hadn't canceled him. And we do have a little bit of a topic for you guys tonight.
Yes, we do.
You know, we have a special guest on the Sister Talk. Another sister.
Yeah, our special sister.
We're going to let our sister introduce herself.
Yeah, sister. Who are you?
I'm Shadia. Hey, y'all.
Yes, and we brought our good sister on today because we have a good topic in mind. We want to talk about, you know, men not having enough safe spaces.
Absolutely.
Because I feel like, you know, in the media, we always see a certain type of woman.
Yeah.
But we don't see the type of woman that's actually supportive and pours back into her man. We always see that toxic love.
Absolutely.
And so I think we need to talk about what that means for a man to have a safe place to land at the end of the day. Because
not everything is a Christian and a Christian and Blueface relationship.
Listen.
That's what people see nowadays. I watched their episode on Zeus, and I'm just like, this is the most toxic thing I've ever seen in my whole entire life. Yeah. My whole entire life. Toxic. So, yeah, there's healthy relationships. There's, you know what I mean?
And I feel like you both of y'all can give a perspective that I don't have yet because y'all are both in relationships.
Right.
And so I guess one of the things that I would ask y'all, and to give y'all feedback and opinion on to help the ladies out there, is like, how do you all create those safe spaces in your relationship?
I really think it starts at the beginning and understanding what you bring to the relationship, communicating and listening. I can say that's the biggest one, but really from the beginning, understanding what it is that your partner needs. And sometimes that can change. It's not always going to be the same. Sometimes you learn over time. Because somebody, especially a significant other, might not be comfortable sharing what they need, and they might not know what they need when you first, meet them. But I think it's really important to just keep communication with them, always be listening, and be willing yourself to change and compromise should your partner need a little bit more support.
And I have a question, because you said something. So when your partner, like you said, they don't always know what they need. So how do you find that out? Like, because especially if they're not comfortable with communicating it, they never were in a relationship where they had to. Like, how do you go about like bringing that out of them?
There's a way to get something out of the person that you're dating without seeming like you're nagging or bothering them.
Now, what's that way? Because we need the tea. Listen, inquiring minds.
So you have to, and we've talked about this on previous episodes, love language.
Right.
You have to figure out your person's love language. And I know that kind of sounds like a little bit weird, but it seriously, like, if you know that your person gets a little fidgety or gets, because we talked about this, gets a little fidgety or seems like they're uncomfortable when you're bringing something up, you should try to stay away from that. You know what I mean? And figure out a different way to approach it so that they're more comfortable when you're talking about whatever that may be that's making them uncomfortable. So, I don't know.
Listen, I gotta make the face because
yes.
I be Leoing sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
And I want what I wanted sometimes.
Absolutely, I get it.
And that gets frustrating when you have to be like, you gotta, because I feel like as women, we are so focused on our feelings, our emotions, and we neglect what they're actually feeling and like the pursuit of expressing our own. And so that's hard for me to have to for me to calm myself down and be like, well, I don't need to talk about this right now. Like, it's not a necessity. Let me cool off let them cool off for a second. If I feel a certain type of way, I feel like I gotta
get off your chest.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of patience and it takes the willingness to back down a little bit. Because I think as women, naturally, we're just, I think naturally women in general, but even, it could depend on zodiac sign too. But, I think for me, like Libras, we're really people pleasers and we're really about harmony. And so it's like a balance between that portion of me as well as the woman side of me that wants to address things in the moment. I'm very emotional. I want to put it all on the table. But then there's also a part of me that shuts down because I want to create harmony and I just want to please the other person. So I think a part of it is just doing some self-work and understanding like, okay, what can I do to help my partner? And if I know that there's something I need, letting them know. But I think for men, it's really tough because a lot of men don't see women in that light. And I think women, we see the toxic love all on social media. We know people personally who have been in toxic situations. We've probably been in toxic situations. So there's a lot of different factors that fall into that. But I think we really have to be purposeful about, seeing it in a new light and not always just going with the okie doke of the toxicity. And I think men need to, understand that there are women out here who are willing to do the work that's necessary to understand them and give them a safe space. I think it's also important for me as a woman, but also as a significant other, to understand if I'm not the safe space for certain things. There might be things that are not comfortable to talk about with your woman, but are more comfortable to talk about with your homeboys. And so I have to be okay with that, because if that's what gives him what he needs,
because I got a problem with that too. I would just say, I'm just being honest, because I want to be everything. Like, I want you to talk to me about everything.
I
I don't want to feel like it's a part of you that you keeping from me. I want you to feel safe to talk to me about everything.
I can understand that, like what you're saying, like you want to be everything, because I felt like that in the beginning of my like relationship. Like I wanted to be everything because I'm very selfish.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very selfish. I want, and he knows this, I want my man to myself. Mm-hmm. I don't even want to share him with family. Mm-hmm. And it's bad. And I can't be like that. You know what I mean? Because he can't always be around me. He can't, like she said, I like he might need to talk to somebody else. He might need to talk to his brothers. He might need to talk to his friend. You know what I mean? Like I can't do everything. I can't be everything for him. Right. So
no, I understand that. I mean, that's just me being facetious.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, it's hard when like it's like, I don't want to say it's a little bit of jealousy, but I feel like you be jealous. Like you be like, dang, like why you gotta talk to them? Why you can't talk to me? Like,
listen.
But I just feel like one of the questions that I have is like, how do you validate their experience and what they're going through and to create that space, but also be true to your emotions at the same time? Does your emotions, in order to create that safe space, does your emotions have to take a back seat at times? Or
sometimes,
okay.
Sometimes. And I will say for myself personally, I have a therapist. And so if there's things that I need to unwrap with her or figure out the best ways to communicate, the best ways to, express how I'm feeling. And I had to learn it really was about expressing how I feel and using like I statements versus like you statements. Because I noticed even in past relationships, but if you're very like accusatory towards your significant other, it's automatically going to put up a wall. Mm-hmm. And so they're going to feel like they can't communicate with you or they can't talk to you. And so it was important for me to be able to express how I feel, but make it not accusatory. Mm-hmm. And so I think that was important. But I also, I think as women, we feel selfish, like we want our man all to ourselves. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of that for me had to do with like my own need for validation, mm-hmm. that this person was solid with me, mm-hmm. like they wanted me. And so I always found myself like always needing just that validation of like, yes, I need you. Mm-hmm. Yes, I want to be with you. And so once I really unpacked where that came from, it was easier for me to step away and be like, okay, I don't always need that validation. I can't have him all to myself. And it feels good sometimes when we're apart because mm-hmm. when we get back together, mm-hmm. it makes it so much more enjoyable.
Right, yeah. Unpacking. Because you said something that we're unpacking, and maybe I'm still a bag lady.
Not a bag lady.
I think we'll always have a little bit of baggage, but I'll say...
I just feel like it's so, and I probably do need to get over my stigma of going, but it's not really a stigma. I just procrastinate really bad, but I know I need a therapist because I feel like I've done all the work that I can do as far as unpacking, mm-hmm. but I feel like I need somebody to take me the extra step. Mm-hmm. And the reason why I feel like it's so hard for me to unpack and to let go of some of those older defense mechanisms or whatever the case may be is because a lot of my pain when it comes to men happened with the main person in my life, mm-hmm. that was supposed to care and supposed to validate and was supposed to motivate and all those things that we look for in relationships, and I never got that. Mm-hmm. And so it's hard for me to believe that a person that like really don't owe me anything mm-hmm. can be that if the person who owed me everything
can't even do that. Listen, and I feel like everybody can relate to that trauma mm-hmm. because, and it's in our, listen, I'm gonna say it, fuck it, excuse me, in our culture, as black women, we have daddy issues. Mm-hmm. We have daddy issues. Like that's valid. You know what I mean? So I can definitely understand by that, like where you're coming from. That's I felt it.
Yeah, and I would say a good bit of my unpacking, and even now, like I'm open about it, but a lot of my unpacking, even still now, comes from dad issues. And I think it comes in different forms, and I think a lot of times when people think of like daddy issues, they think of fathers who weren't there, or fathers who disappeared. And I think my experience is a little bit different, a little bit unique, and of course Taya, you know, kind of knows. But my dad was there. Physically, he was there. He lived in our house. My parents were married. But I still didn't feel like I got that father figure, and I never felt like a daddy's girl. And like you said, those things that you're supposed to get,
we share a very similar experience.
Was not there. So from the outside looking in, people might, you know, think, oh, well, your dad's there, and you know,
right, everything should be
you got women who don't have, you know, dads
Yeah.
in the home, and it wasn't.
But
that's
you have to say that because you can be present and not present.
Absolutely. And that's exactly how it was for me. You know, and so it still felt like I watched my mom do everything. You know, and not saying that my dad hasn't tried and that we haven't gotten better, and I've gotten better at learning boundaries and learning how to communicate with him. But I certainly feel and know now at this point in my life that a lot of the ways that I interacted and communicated in previous relationships, a lot of that came from skills that I picked up from my dad and things that I didn't pick up from him. You know, so a lot of my improved communication has come from the willingness to want to go to therapy and understand where all of these other things and emotions and feelings and ways of communicating are coming from. And I think sometimes when you meet your person, you want to change. Like my last relationship, I was like, yeah, I know I could communicate better. Yeah, I knew I need therapy. But I never did it. It was always like procrastination, and I always just was like, I'll get to it eventually. But meeting my boyfriend now, he was just so special to me, and still is so special to me, that I was like, okay, I need to really work on this baggage, unpack all of this, put it in the trash, put it wherever it needs to go, dump it, so that way I can make sure our relationship really is good and it thrives. And it feels so much different to be able to interact with him better. And it's always going to be a work in progress. It's not perfect. There's still good days and bad days, but you know, it feels better to be able to have a therapist who is not on either side, holds me accountable, you know, and I could go on and on about therapy.
I was just about to say, like, kind of like my last kind of question that I have would be, how can you find, of course you can look on the back of your, you know, medical card and see, you know, who you can go to, but a somebody that looks like us, therapist. Because I don't want to go and I'm going to be blunt, I don't want to go and talk to no white person that don't even understand what I'm going through.
I definitely get that, and I think one of my like drawbacks from getting therapy for a long time was that thought. And I think for me now, being a therapist and being in a space where I was able to find and connect resources was really helpful. So a good resource is psychologydoctor.com.
Okay.
And Psychology Today. And if you go on there, and that's actually how I ended up finding my therapist, they have a lot of filters. You can filter it by age. If you want a therapist that's a little bit younger, maybe a little bit older, you can filter it by insurance, because that's also important. You can filter it by sexual orientation. You can filter it by race, which is really important. I mean, I think being in this field, I've seen it a lot where clients are not comfortable with their therapist, so they're really not doing the work and unpacking because they're not having therapists that understand their experience and understand what they're going through.
And they just looking to check over by.
Yeah, as Black women, there are a lot of things that we hold, and that it's just this unspoken like knowingness about a lot of different things. And you know, no shade to white therapists, but there are just experiences that we have as Black women that speaking to a Black therapist, they just understand. And I think, you know, kind of looping back around to men having safe spaces, I think we have to start, you know, really making it more normalized that men seek therapy. You know, and there's a lot of good men therapists out here. You just have to seek them out. But I think a lot of men maybe, you know, need to go seek therapy and seek a male therapist. You know, I think that would be important. But yeah, I would start there if you're looking to find a therapist.
Well, one thing before we wrap it up, is how important as females that are in relationships, thriving relationships, you know, on the road to marriage, how important is it to create that safe space?
Very much so. It's like number one.
Yeah. And I think going into a relationship, like I didn't expect the safe space to just like happen right away. I think the space has to be created. So it takes time, and you get to learn your partner. You understand, you know, certain quirks about them or certain things about them that either can create the safe space or be a hindrance to the safe space. But I really think it builds over time, and you have to be willing to work on it with your partner to create it.
Absolutely. I agree, 100%.
Well, there you have it, guys. The sisters spoke, and the misters need to know y'all got a safe space.
Absolutely.
And for the ladies that don't create the safe spaces for y'all, you gotta find a new one.
Listen, that
Don't ever be afraid to walk away. But I think that's all we have for you all tonight. You know, we always have a lot to talk about.
We really do.
So thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Sistah Talk Podcast. I am Gold Chain Diva, and this is our special guest,
Shadia.
And our sister.
You already know it's Miss Beatty, and it's with a Z.
Yep. And you can find me on social media at goldchain__diva. And would you like to share yours as well?
Yes.
I sure can, but I gotta find it.
Well, Tay, let them know where to find you.
Miss Beatty, MZ_Beatty, and that's all platforms. So follow me, y'all.
All right. And you can follow our special guest.
Yeah, you can find me at Native Soul.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning in.